You know the feeling, right? That nagging headache, the sore muscles after a workout. We all know the drill. You reach into the medicine cabinet for a painkiller. But have you ever stopped to wonder what's really happening inside your body when you pop that little pill? Well, the story is way more complex and fascinating than you probably think.
I mean, what if that same pill you take for a headache could also do something about a broken heart? It sounds like something straight out of a movie, doesn't it? But this isn't science fiction. It's a very real question that researchers are digging into right now, and it involves some of the most common drugs on the planet.
Think about how we talk. Headaches and heartaches, broken bones and broken spirits. We use the same language for both physical and emotional pain. And as it turns out, that is not just a coincidence. Science is actually showing us that the connection is incredibly real. I'm talking all the way down to our brain chemistry.
Okay, so let's dive right in. We'll start with probably the most common pain reliever of all, acetaminophen. You almost certainly know it as the active ingredient in Tylenol. And what we're finding out is that its job description goes way, way beyond just getting rid of your physical pain.
And no, this isn't a placebo effect. It's not just all in your head. Researchers have literally watched people's brains using fMRI scans, which are like real-time maps of brain activity. And they've seen that acetaminophen can actually dull the sting of social rejection. It's wild. It seems our brains process a broken heart in a very similar way to how they process a broken bone. And get this, it's not just about blocking negative feelings. It seems to be more of an all-purpose emotional blunter. We're talking about reducing your empathy for other people's pain, dulling your own sense of joy, softening the blow of tough decisions, and even easing your anxiety about life and death. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. So you might be thinking, okay, but who does this really affect? Well, how about 23% of Americans? A whopping 23% of people in the US take a product with acetaminophen in it every single week. That's almost 1 in 4 of us, potentially dialing down our emotional responses without even realizing what we're doing. So the big question is how? How is this even possible? And does this apply to all painkillers? The short answer is a big, fat no. And to really get why, we need to look at how acetaminophen and its biggest rival ibuprofen take 2 completely different roads to get the job done. So first up, you've probably heard the term NSAID, right? It stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. Ibuprofen, the stuff in Advil or Motrin, is the classic example. And the key thing to remember about NSAIDs is that they work systemically. That's just a fancy way of saying they go to work on your entire body, not just one specific spot. Okay, let's break this down side by side. Acetaminophen is what we call an analgesic. It mainly targets your central nervous system, your brain, and your spinal cord, and basically tells your brain to chill out and ignore the pain signals. Ibuprofen, the NSAID, does something totally different. It goes after these enzymes called COX enzymes all over your body. And that's the key difference. That's why ibuprofen is a beast for inflammation from a sprained ankle, while acetaminophen, not so much. 2 pills, 2 completely different playbooks. All right, so since these drugs work in such different ways, it should be no surprise that they also come with very different risks. There's really no free lunch, right? Every benefit has a potential price, and it's so important that you know what that price is. So here's the bottom line. For acetaminophen, the big, blinking red light is your liver. That's where it gets processed, and if you take too much, it can be really toxic. For ibuprofen and other NSAIDs, the danger zone is a lot broader. We're talking about risks to your stomach, your kidneys, and even your whole cardiovascular system. So what's the tipping point? Well, for acetaminophen, serious trouble can start around 7.5 grams a day. Now that might sound like a huge number, but it's dangerously easy to get there by accident. Why? Because acetaminophen is a hidden ingredient in tons of other medicines, cold and flu remedies, prescription painkillers, you name it. This is why you have to be a label reader. It's not optional. And as for ibuprofen, well, because it works everywhere in the body, its risks are everywhere too. It can mess with your stomach lining, which can lead to ulcers and bleeding. The FDA has even had to issue stronger warnings about an increased risk of heart attack and stroke. On top of that, it can hit your kidneys, raise your blood pressure. It even makes it harder for your blood to clot. It's a powerful drug, no doubt, but it really does touch almost every system in your body. Okay, but the story is not all doom and gloom. Not at all. Just like acetaminophen has these hidden psychological effects, it turns out ibuprofen has some secret superpowers of its own. And some of this new research is, well, it's pretty mind-blowing. This is where it gets really exciting. See, we know ibuprofen is a fantastic anti-inflammatory. And scientists are now realizing that chronic, low-grade inflammation is a root cause of so many of our biggest health problems. So the question becomes, could this everyday painkiller actually be a secret weapon in the fight against these major diseases?
And the early findings are just incredible. Some huge studies have linked taking ibuprofen regularly to a 27% lower risk of Parkinson's disease. Another study, a 52% drop in risk for certain precancerous growths in the colon. In the lab, they even found it made yeast live 17% longer. Oh, and if you're a mountain climber, it can help prevent high-altitude sickness. Clearly, this is a pill with a lot more going on than we ever gave it credit for.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got one pill that dulls both physical and emotional pain but puts your liver at risk. Then we've got another that fights inflammation all over your body with its own risks to your stomach and heart, but it might also fight off major diseases. So, what on earth are you supposed to do with all that information? Well, it all boils down to one thing: making an informed choice.
And this right here, from Dr. Donna Ann Thomas, really just nails it. You have to remember you are still taking a medication. It's so simple but so true. These pills are not candy. They are serious, powerful drugs that demand our respect. Even though you can buy them over the counter, the consequences of using them wrong can be incredibly serious.
So what are the ground rules for staying safe? It's actually pretty straightforward. First, always use the lowest possible dose that actually gives you relief. Second, take it for the shortest amount of time you need to. Third, and this is a big one, become a detective and read the labels on everything to hunt down hidden acetaminophen. And finally, if you're in pain for more than a few days, it's time to call in the pros. Stop guessing and go talk to your doctor.
And all of this brings us right back to where we started. We asked if a pill for your headache could also fix a broken heart. And the answer, incredibly, seems to be, kinda, yeah. But at what cost? If that same pill also dulls our joy, dampens our empathy, and disconnects us just a little bit from each other, well, it makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What does it really mean to feel, and what are we really looking for when we reach for that bottle?